What up, tubers? Bunny here, and this week we're back in Minecraft. So I'm thinking in this video, I'm going to manage a monstrosity, which you see right here. So if I turn my crosshair on, and you're probably thinking to yourself, Bunny, how's this a monstrosity? It's just a highway interchange. My answer? A rather horrible highway interchange. So here's part of the picture. Hang on, let me see if I can increase the render distance. Okay, here you can see a little more of the picture. So you have your interchange. If I fly over here, we'll get to one of Houston's main freeways, Lake Freeway. Now, I'm not going to show you the lake that gives this freeway its name because if I fly any closer to downtown, my computer is going to start begging for mercy. And since I ought to aim to be a merciful bunny, I would rather not go into downtown. So yeah, this is Lake Freeway. It makes this rather sharp left-hand turn, and a lane ends right there. Oh, and this freeway is designated Highway 6. And highways are Rabbit Erica's version of interstate highways like you humans have in the United States. So this road is I-6. Then if you want to continue on I-6, you gotta get on this right lane here and take this single lane, mind you, to get onto this road, which then becomes I-6. And then, yeah. You can see where I'm going here. It's kind of a little weird. And if you follow this, this becomes the Spur Freeway, I-306. Makes another sharp left-hand turn here. And then it goes along the south side of Houston. In fact, let me pull up a map quickly that I drew to illustrate this kind of weird stuff. You know what, now that I look at the map, I almost forgot another freeway that's part of this mess. You can see this ramp here. Okay, following it. And then it leads to this overpass highway, kind of a flyover highway. And then it goes over this main road right here, which goes toward the heart of Sunset Beach, which is this town over here. So yeah, you can kind of see where I'm going with this whole mess of a thing. Now if I pull up a second map that I drew, you can see that I plan on improving this interchange very, very much. Disclaimer, what you see on the map is probably not going to be the final area that you see at the end of the video. Now as part of this improvement project, I am probably going to omit these toll booths right here, and then I'll probably rebuild them maybe somewhere further down the road, at least somewhere where it's far enough away from this whole mess. I'm also thinking this might include omitting this road right here, and I might get rid of these off and on ramps right here. Although my map shows this freeway taking a diagonal through that general area over there, I'm actually thinking I'll reroute the road to go over this canal right here, over this river. I think it's more of a river. Well, that's funny. I put a drawbridge there, and yet, instead even of, well, I might want that body of water. You know what? This is something I can worry about while building the road. So anyway, I'm going to route the freeway to go, generally speaking, over where this river is. So I guess it kind of goes right in front of the Speed Cola Arena. And then it's going to take a right turn that swings it around so that it's over this road. Then it will go over this part of the freeway, which I will probably lower so that I don't have to build all these roads to look so unrealistically high, which is why I'm omitting this ground level road. And then it meets up with the Sunset Freeway and that stuff. So yeah, this is kind of a monstrous plan that I have to carry out if I want to avoid having any further traffic issues in the future with these freeways. So without further ado, and before I get myself too scared to do this project, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hope you guys enjoy the time-lapse. Okay, first off, I'm going to warn you that if you're prone to epileptic seizures, I recommend that you do not watch this time lapse. because the image can get a little bit flashy, if you will, at times due to the habits I have while building, and due to the fact that I have this time-lapse sped up to very high speeds. And secondly, due to the fact that this build took a very long time, and I am talking 12 hours worth of work over the course of 4 days. Even with the time-lapse sped up to 32 times, it still takes quite a long time. And because the time-lapse seems to be just a bunch of picture frames that flash many times a second, I figured that I might as well provide some commentary on what I'm doing. So in this portion here, I am doing some basic stuff to start the expansion of I6. I'm just figuring out how to connect points A and B together. It's also around this time that I decided to use one of the ramps that I built a while back, and that I would use this ramp to end the rightmost lane for westbound. Oh, and if it appears at some points in the time-lapse that I appear to be just flying around, I'm either taking a look at what I've built thus far, or I'm getting reference points for at what Y level to place portions of the road. Now in a moment, you're gonna see me breaking the long solid line that I built into a broken line, and I'm going to find out, much to my satisfaction, that the broken lines are spaced out perfectly. And as you can see throughout the time-lapse, I've had to dismantle a few things in order to make way for the new roads. As you just saw, for example, I had to tear down one of my wire poles, which I'm going to rebuild a little bit later. I think I didn't do that until the next day though. And once I finish paving in this part of the road, I'm going to dismantle the old portion of the freeway, which at this point I decided I didn't need anymore. After that, I perched myself on top of a pole to look out over what I have done for that day. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. Now that fade through black that you just saw indicated the transition from day 1 to day 2. So I started the second day by clearing out more portions of the old interchange that I didn't need anymore. At this point, I6 and I306 are disconnected from each other, and they won't be reconnected to some extent until toward the end of the second day. Now at this point, I'm clearing away old interchanges, which I'm not going to be needing anymore because they would just be getting in the way. Now in a moment I'm going to start placing a bottom cap underneath the lower portion of the freeway bridge, because it was at this point that I cleared enough room to start doing that. Now I wouldn't call this whole project that I did hard so much as I would call it time consuming. Like I said, it was 12 hours worth of work over the course of 4 days. Really, I would say the hardest part of the project was trying to make angles and inclines work in harmony. It also made the process of capping the underside of the roadways a little tedious because it's not a perfect rectangle. And when the underside of the freeway isn't a perfect rectangle, you can't just use the fill command to fill in every square meter of the underside. There are some portions that you're going to have to cap in by hand. So in short, I would describe the whole process of this project tedious, but not hard. So here I found another interchange, and I decided at this point it's time to dismantle this one. So at this point I decided that the ground level road didn't need to be divided where that former interchange was. So I went ahead and narrowed the road down. And as I was mentioning the fact that I dismantled that intersection, I completely overlooked the fact that at that same time, I dismantled part of the toll booth that was situated on the highway just beyond that interchange. I also think at the same time I was dismantling the toll booth, I also took down portions of a road that went underneath the freeway right at that point. And in fact, here I am now getting rid of more portions of this road. Now here, I'm creating a new portion of I6 in which the freeway takes a temporary dip. And this dip is necessary for when I extend the 306 over this highway, because I don't want the main roads to look unrealistically high as they go past each other.
It's a good thing that I thought about this while I was creating the interchange because, spoiler alert, I ended up building 2 flyovers. And both of them would probably have looked ridiculous if they were like, I don't know what that would translate to, 75 feet up? Now at this point, I'm going back to the section of I-6 that I created yesterday, and I'm now adding supports to this segment. Because let's be honest, would you trust that freeway if it had no columns supporting it up? Am I right? Now at this point I'm getting rid of the remnants of one of my former intersections. And I also just got finished capping off this area of the city, which is technically in a desert biome. I finished capping it off with grass. I think also at this point I was giving myself a pat on the back because it was around this point that I realized that I had covered most of what is this desert biome into a green savanna. Well, kind of green. Anyway, back to the present. Right now I'm paving a portion of I-6 that apparently I had forgotten to pave when I extended the road a moment ago. And now I'm preparing to extend the 306 over I-6. Also at this point I'm dismantling an on-ramp that I built, which I decided that I didn't need anymore. And as you just saw, I was messing around with the layout of Main Street. I decided with that off-ramp being of no use and therefore of no existence anymore, I didn't need the rightmost lane. And now I just got done creating an extension of the 306 and now I'm getting on with paving that extension. And here I'm deciding that in preparation for extending southbound 306, that I should create an on-ramp which has been missing from the intersection/interchange that you see in this general vicinity. And after realizing that I wasn't going to be able to get some power lines to scale the freeway, at least realistically speaking, I decided just to put that set of wires to an end. Or I guess realistically they probably just reroute underground. I don't think they actually just end. And as you just saw, I just finished creating that on-ramp and now I'm creating the new extension for southbound 306. Here is a point where I can catch my breath because wow, all those actions that I've been doing in that time lapse, I have been going faster than my commentary was able to keep up. Ew, boy. So here I am now paving the southbound extension that I just got done creating, and in a moment I'm going to create some ramps connecting the 2 freeways. In fact, here I go now creating the ramps. So 2 of the ramps that I created in this intersection, both of which I accomplished on the second day, they are cloverleaf ramps. In fact, the final interchange, spoiler alert, is kind of a combination of cloverleaf intersection and I don't know what you call those non-cloverleaf 4-way interchanges. So over here in this area of my project, as you can see, I have to do a lot of tree clearing to make way for these ramps and these roadways. Much to the dismay of you tree lovers out there. My apologies. So anyway, I finished creating the second cloverleaf ramp, and there was evening and there was morning the second day. So the third day primarily saw the creation of more ramps for this interchange. This day also saw the creation of both flyovers that this interchange contains. Now in interchanges like these where both freeways are in the sky, flyovers can be a little bit tricky in making them look good. However, by the time I finished creating the interchange, I think the flyovers look pretty good as they were. Now, in fact, I'm actually going to begin creating the first flyover as soon as I finish creating this ramp here. And spoiler alert, I created the second flyover when I realized that a third cloverleaf ramp wouldn't realistically fit in this interchange. And as you see here, I'm creating a little merge lane that will exist after the first flyover merges with one of my other ramps. Now, I don't suppose that the merge lane will actually completely solve traffic issues when it comes to merging. But I suppose that traffic in the dominant lane can get some time and space to hopefully slow down. Whether or not they actually do that, I don't know. This is the big city that we're talking about. So here you see me starting the creation of a third cloverleaf ramp and finding out that it wouldn't realistically fit. And I say it wouldn't realistically fit because, I mean, it does fit, but there are parts of the road in which the clearance between that ramp and another ramp would be too low. And I didn't entirely feel like making that corner any sharper. Anyway, here I'm finishing off capping the underside of the first flyover. And now I'm extending the 306 to fly over I-6. And in a moment, I'm going to go back to that first flyover and I'm going to go ahead and extend it back down to the ground level. Or at least what will be the ground level for I-6. And as I cap off the underside of this ramp, I'm going to realize that I've forgotten to cap off the undersides to the two cloverleaf ramps that I created the previous day. And with nothing else to say for a few moments, I think I'm gonna tell a joke. And you may or may not get this joke depending on where you live. So this guy has this ultra big craving for dairy. So then he gets this brilliant idea. He decides to go to his local discount grocery store and he starts to buy all the milk he can. Anyway, that horrible joke aside, so now my building has caught up with my commentary and I thought that wasn't gonna even happen. So now I'm creating this second flyover. And I'm actually going to merge it with the ramp that I created first thing this third day. So I have to make sure that the ramp fits just nicely in preparation for merging. So I spend a few minutes making minor adjustments. At the end of the day, I also have to make some minor adjustments to the dominant ramp as well. In fact, here I go right now making those adjustments to that ramp. And this portion of the project was something that I had to put aside for the night and come back to the next morning. And this is actually around the point where I logged off. So there was evening and there was morning the third day. So the fourth day saw pretty much everything else for this project being built. As you can see here, the first thing that I did was continue just about where I left off the previous day. And once I finish creating this part of the ramp, I'm going to go over to the nearby suburb, which is called Dundee. And I'm going to start clearing parts of the land and doing some preparation stuff before I create the final extension of the 306. So here I am clearing a pedestrian bridge and I'm fixing up one of the bridges in my main road. Because I was certain that the arch of that bridge would kind of look a little weird, maybe a little close if not interfering with the path of one of my planned ramps. In fact, here I go creating that ramp that I was just talking about. And as I was mentioning all this, the time lapse showed me working kind of blasting through several things at once. For one thing, I fixed up a brick path that I had built in the past using a texture pack, and now that road looked a little weird. I also took the time to dismantle the post, that stone brick post, which I perched myself on top of that first day to take a look at what I've done then. Now, at around this point, going back to the present, I decided to do a little bit of decorating with my roads. However, I will mention that I did most of my road decorating after I finished recording all this stuff from the fourth day. I did all that stuff off camera. Now I'm going to this one intersection that's near this blue arena building that you might be able to see at times. and I'm turning this intersection into a roundabout. And this new and improved intersection is actually gonna prove to be helpful when I do build some on and off ramps. And here I'm fixing up one of my main roads and making it conform with the new terrain shape. And with this newly reshaped terrain, I'm actually going to be able to expand the parking lot for this blue arena, which I should probably give it its name, the Speeda Cola Arena. I'm now able to expand the parking lot by, I think, a couple rows. Actually, you know what? I think it's just one new row. Well, either way, that parking lot is not part of the project, and I'll probably get to expanding that another time, probably off camera. And this is the point where I began expanding the 306 over Dundee. In fact, the freeway actually comes rather close to the Speeda Cola Arena. You're actually able to get a good look at it as you drive past. Now I imagine that this interchange will probably see the most use during game days when Houston's local basketball team comes to play. But I'm not sure about other days, cause I'm thinking if I ever get to building more of Dundee, it'll probably be something like a low-rent suburb. Because the area of Houston this town borders is kind of a rundown area of Houston. So why not have a little bit of that rundown low-rent district stuff kind of leak over into the suburbs, eh? Maybe not very realistic, but So what I just missed over was creating the ramps for the other half of the interchange. Actually, I also missed like some 10 minutes of that stuff because I was resetting the game bar's video recording time back to 0. But I had forgotten to restart the recording. So I managed to build most of westbound's on and off ramps, but I didn't get to record that. Oh well. So here I'm creating some support columns for this section of the 306. And in a moment I'm gonna start creating the final section, which was tricky because it was a combination of turn and slope. Now in Minecraft, creating a combination of turns and slopes, or even angles and slopes, is a little tricky. The key is to create the transitions between the slopes that are going perpendicular to the direction, generally speaking, of that road. And I put perpendicular in scare quotes because Minecraft is all about squares and rectangles and doing everything along X, Y, and Z axes. Also, put it this way, if you do the slope transitions solely along the X and Z axes, it's gonna make the slope look a little weird. Might give it the appearance that it's banked. And unless you're creating some racetrack or something, you probably don't want any banked sections of road. Anyway, what did I miss? Oh yeah, as you just saw, I just created a fourth ramp, thus completing the interchange of, the 306? And I named the road that goes in front of the Speeda Cola Arena Burleigh Boulevard. So this interchange that I just completed serves as the non-multi-freeway interchange. And at this point in the time-lapse, there's only a few more things that I need to do. The first thing, which I'm doing right now, is to build one last ramp to the I-6, I-306 interchange. The second thing is to cap off the underside of the 306 in that final section I created. Then I connect I-6 back to one of its older sections. And then finally it's just to connect some of the remaining ramps to I-6 and thus completes the interchange. And here I go right now, capping off the underside of the 306. Oh, and like I said earlier in this fourth day in the time-lapse, I technically did some decorating of the roads after I did the 4 things that I listed. However, I did that stuff off camera, and I'm probably just gonna continue to do so. As far as this project is concerned, I only have less than a minute and a half remaining in the time-lapse. After that, I'll just do a real speed video where I fly over and show you all that I built over the course of these 4 days. Oh, and the last two items that I mentioned, expanding I-6 and connecting the ramp, I guess looking at the time-lapse here, I guess I did both of those things kinda side by side. Well, with the time-lapse coming to an end, and since you know what I'm about to do in these last moments, I'm going to sign off as a talker. I'm thinking in next week's video, I'm going to go back to BeamNG Drive. I'm thinking of doing some crazy stunts with that ME262 plane, which I showcased in the previous BeamNG Drive video. But anyway, after this last bit of the time-lapse and the brief showcase, that is going to conclude this week's video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you all next week. India Alpha Bravo checking out. And as far as this time-lapse is concerned, there was evening and there was morning the 4th day.
T-minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. We have ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have commit. We have...